Hello, everybody. Welcome to Empowering Voices. I am Melissa Guccione, and I am your host. And I'd just like to welcome you to the show. Here on this podcast, we like to share unique and empowering stories of authors, entrepreneurs, and change makers. And I am not only the host for this show, but I am an author myself. I am also, thank you, an official referral associate with Book Writing Ventures as well. So we can talk a little bit more about that later. But at this moment, I would like to invite our audience to go ahead and click the like buttons, maybe subscribe if you like what you see going on here. We're going to be bringing a lot of stories, a lot of authors, a lot of entrepreneurs through this podcast. So we hope that you will join us in that if you would click that like button for us. Okay, now let's get to it. I am so excited to introduce today's very special guest, Toney B. Jenkins.
Hello,
Welcome.
Melissa.
Welcome.
How are you today?
I am well, thank you. We're almost ready for Christmas. It's the Christmas season, and
Absolutely.
it's okay. Life is not without challenge, but I'm healthy and whole and wise and free, and that's a good place to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, let's see now. You're an author. Is this your first book, Toney?
This is not my first book. The book that I had a opportunity of working with David at Book Writing Venture is my second book. Uh, the first book that I wrote was a compilation book with 11 other ministry leaders and thought leaders across the country entitled A Levitical Man. It was a book that highlighted the different backgrounds of men on how they lead their homes as far as being a priest, a provider, and a protector of their home. And so, a part of why I wanted to be a part of that project is because I know that there is a generation of young men who were not raised by their fathers. The epidemic of being a single parent and many of those young men being raised by their mom, we wanted to give them to be able to utilize in trying to understand what does it mean to be a provider of a home in the 21st century. It does not mean that you have to be the breadwinner.
Right.
But we do and have the responsibility of making sure that we have a spirit of protection over our home. And it's not just to protect with an iron fist, it's to protect, to create an environment where there's love, where there's intimacy through communication, where when the husband or the man comes home, everybody in the household now feels a level of peace because they know that the protector is there. And then when it comes to being a priest, we know that everybody, especially here in America, everybody may not be a believer in Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior.
Right.
But although I am, we want to empower them to say, hey, whatever you believe in, you have to be able to share those beliefs, those values, those morals with your kids so they have a foundation.
Well, that is a
So,
perfect segue to the title of this book here, your current book, The 7 Keys to FiT Success. Perfect.
all
Well,
right.
let's I know we'll get actually into the 7 keys pretty soon here, but let me just ask, what was it that motivated you to write this book?
Well, I can tell you in my 53 years of life, back in 2020, when the pandemic hit,
Wow.
my faith uh, just wouldn't let me get the vaccine. And so what happened was, Melissa, although I never caught COVID, my son in love, I would say my son by choice. I married his mom, so I don't call my kids stepchildren. But my son of choice, Devin Butts, his father and his bride had caught COVID at their home. Well, he told Devin, well, Devin, I can't let you come over here until you're vaccinated. Well, in our home, we operate by faith, so we
Yeah.
did not take the COVID shot. Well, after 8 months, I could see the hurt in my son's eyes and wanting to spend time with his father. And I said, you know what? My son came and asked me, he said, Mr. Toney, if we can believe God to sustain us and not get the COVID shot, can't we believe God for us to sustain us after the COVID shot if we get it? Now, Melissa, that was a different way of applying faith. And I said, son, you know what? Let's go get that COVID shot because I know seeing your dad is important. So everyone in my family went and got the COVID shot. Now, let me share with you what happened, and this is what spawned me
Okay.
doing this book.
Okay.
All of my family got the COVID vaccine, but I was the only one who had a reverse effect to it. In a matter of about a year, I had to be rushed to the hospital about 4 or 5 times because I could no longer breathe. It gave me a respiratory infection, and it had such a reverse effect on me. Literally, Melissa, I don't walk in fear, but in my physical body, I had never felt what I felt, and I wanted to make sure that my kids understood how they could have success and what and how I had found it. So I began to write the 7 keys to FiT success because this is where I was able to give back to my kids. This book was not something that I was doing for the public. It was something that I wanted to tangibly give my kids so they could be empowered to understand that this is how their father lived their life.
Like that.
And because of that, this book, when I had people read it for their endorsements, they said, Toney, man, this is powerful. You should publish this book. And I got a call from David and his team, and the rest is history.
Well, wow. That is a
Yeah,
story.
yeah.
Um, and so how long did it take then? So you said you started in, what was it, March or so in 2020? And then how long did it take for you to finish the book?
It took me about 3 months. It it
Oh,
it 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 was just pouring out of me. And I actually, my introduction talks about us being in the backyard. And because we were on lockdown, we couldn't go anywhere during the pandemic. My wife and I had just flown back from Houston, where we had taught about 1,500 people about financial literacy. And so we got back in town, I believe, maybe on the 9th. They shut everything down on the 12th.
yeah,
So we were in our backyard. My daughter was had the music playing, just dancing around, and it was as if, okay, we don't know what this next chapter is, but
yeah.
guess what? Here comes the challenging times that we have to overpower. And that's where that extension of what my book was, the 7 keys to FiT success, to overpower challenging times.
Okay.
That's how this book got that subtitle because we were in the midst of something that we had never experienced.
Mm,
But I was strongly believing that these
yeah,
7 keys would get us out of this pandemic. And I know a lot of people experienced a lot of loss during these last 4 years from
yes,
family members, their businesses. Some of them lost their homes.
yes.
But our business working in the financial industry, Melissa, actually quadrupled. And so during this time where there was so much loss, I can't tell you why God's favor was on my life and not on someone else's life, but our pastor going into the year 2020 spoke into existence that this would be the year of the double.
Mm,
So even though the world shut down, my wife and I were able to purchase our second home during this time.
yes.
We were able to establish a new business during this time. our business that was already in motion just continued to skyrocket. And so applying these 7 keys to my life, whether it was in football, in my in class, wanting to get good grades, and wanting to be better, wanting to be someone of significance,
Yes.
Melissa, the 7 keys just continued to propel me forward. And now I want to be able to share that with everyone.
Well, it is very needed in the world today. I feel there's more confusion now than maybe at any other time. We are
Yeah,
bombarded with information and distraction, and
yeah,
and we're exhausted. Most people are exhausted. They're just
yeah,
exhausted, and it's hard to keep on or try and start something new when you feel you don't have your energy or motivation, especially if you don't have any inspiration from inside, because of we're just juggling with so much. So um,
absolutely.
to see steps, like if you saw a path right in front of you, I know it makes me feel better just giving that image in my mind, see, knowing I can just walk on this path and improve my life, and then maybe even help others around me too.
Absolutely.
So with that,
Absolutely.
I hope that we can hit a little bit on each key, and that's a lot of
Okay.
information to cover. So let's just start with key number one. I'll read it, and then you can and speak to it.
Fantastic.
It
Fantastic.
takes faith, belief, and self-positive talk to overpower negative words and challenging times.
Melissa, the best way that I can describe that, the Bible says it this way: as a man thinketh, so is he.
Mhm.
As we grow up in this adult world, we have dreams as a little kid. Somewhere, either people set their dreams down and start a job or start a career,
Yes.
or you are continuously in the pursuit of that dream. Well, that dream, in order for it to become your reality, you have to have faith to believe that I can really achieve this.
Yes.
The self talk comes in because we all have self doubt. We all have that voice in our mind that says, man, you've never done that before. No one in your family has ever done that before. What makes you think you're able to get this done?
Yes.
And that's when you have to be able to look yourself in the mirror, Melissa, and say, you know what? I'm a pioneer. I'll go down as the first one to be able to accomplish this in my family. I'll be the first one to be able to pin this so others can be able to achieve this. So I looked at myself as a bridge,
Mm.
being able to say, when I was 7 years old, watching my very first NFL football game that I can recollect, the Dallas Cowboys were playing the Denver Broncos in a Super Bowl.
Okay.
It just so happened in all of the play that I was doing, I ran inside to grab some water. I stop in front of the television, and here is Roger Staubach throwing a bomb to Butch Johnson. Butch Johnson does a post, dives for the football, catches it, and makes a touchdown. And I remember saying to my dad, Dad, that's what I want to do. And he says, great, son. And I leave and I go back outside and I start playing again. We fast forward my life. Now I'm sitting in the front office at the Cowboys facility down in Irving, Texas, ready to sign a contract to become a wide receiver for them. Now, what I can tell you is this: going from 7 years old to being 22 years old, it took a lot of faith. There were a lot of football games that I lost and a lot that I won to help me achieve that goal. But when my brothers would say, man, you ain't playing no professional football, I tell them, yes, I am. And I'd go back outside and I'd play.
Look at
I'd
that.
drop on the floor and do some push ups. In my mind, I knew that it was going to take faith in order to get there. But in that faith, I had to overcome all of the negative words that I heard from the people who said, man, you're not fast enough. You're not big enough. Some people told me, and one of my coaches said, Toney, we don't know if you're good enough.
Wow.
but I had to have enough faith in myself to overcome those negative situations.
That it's amazing to have that, and even at a young age, you were feeling that, the power and
Yes.
the clarity, I guess is a good word to use there.
But Melissa, let me share this with you. In going through it, you may not realize what you're doing. And this is the power of the seven keys, because I look back over my life and realize I did that when I was a kid. I did that when I was in the eighth grade, when I was competing. I did it when I was in high school, put faith in the practice to help me get to college. It was the faith that I was
Okay.
using all of that time to get to the pros. So now I realize that that had to be the first key. You've got
Yes.
to have faith, you've got to believe it, and you've got to have positive self-talk to out chatter the
Oh,
naysayers.
and there's a
Yeah,
lot of that. And
yes, yes.
in that description, you kind of moved into the second key where it says it takes patience and diligence in your work to overpower negative results.
Absolutely, absolutely. So one of my mentors from afar, Eric Thomas, on social media and all over uh, the globe today, he's one of the top motivational speakers. And when I was listening to him, this is what he told us. He says, Toney, it takes 21 years to become 21. You can't rush that process.
Oh, that's good.
But how do you use each of those 21 years to establish what it is you want and how to arrive at your place of purpose? And so when it came to understanding that there's patience, when I started playing football, I was slow. I didn't have the best hands,
Hmm.
but through diligence and patience, I kept getting better and better and better and better and better to the point where through patience and hard work, you're going to achieve your goal. They say if you practice anything for 10,000 hours, you're going to become an expert. At 20,000 hours, you'll become a master. And Melissa, I can tell you, instead of my friends, me going to the beach with them,
Hmm.
I was in the weight room
Gotcha.
at 5 or 6:30 in the morning.
Gotcha.
My friends, hey, Toney, we're going to the beach today, man. You know what? I got to get out here. I've got to practice my speed. So I'm out on a track. These are the things that help shape me in understanding that through patience in business, I would be hired as a training associate,
Okay.
but I worked my way up to become a senior marketing director, the top of our promotional level. I was hired as a receptionist and I left there as an executive account manager. The beginning of our journey is just the beginning, but when you have faith, belief, positive self talk, partnered with patience and diligence, you're going to increase your value. You're going to increase your ability to be able to influence other people.
I like what you said about the beginning is just the beginning. I mean, that's a
Yeah,
very powerful phrase.
yeah,
And then it smooths the way to the patients,
yeah,
knowing that how could I possibly take on a brand new endeavor and be an expert? It just
absolutely.
those
Absolutely.
things
So that
it doesn't
patience,
happen.
yeah, that patience and diligence helps you improve to that next phase.
Okay, I love that. Key number three, it takes instincts, preparation, and being ready to overpower negative situations.
Absolutely. So the way that I was able to implement that into this book from my life, there are times in everyone's life where you can either step up or you can shrink back. When it was a part of my life, it started when I was in the fifth grade. I was a brand new student at this elementary school. I was the only Black male in the entire fifth grade class. And we were having the elections to become president of the fifth grade class.
Okay.
None of my older brothers had ever ran for office in a school. But one of my teachers said, Toney, I believe that you would be a good leader.
Mhm.
Now, at that moment, I could have shrunk and just said, you know what, I just want to be like every other student.
Yeah.
Or I could step up and know that this is an opportunity for me to do something no one else in my family had done. Even though I have brothers who are teenagers and one that's looking up to me, I said, this is an opportunity for me. So the instincts to know that, hey, I got to get ready. So the election was 2 or 3 weeks
Mm.
forward. So I went to my dad and said, Dad, can you help me write a speech? Mom, what would I say that could appeal to the ladies in the fifth grade? I began to prepare for this opportunity. I knew that this was my time to do something that my brothers had never done or even maybe even thought about. And Miss Melissa, even though I was afraid, even though I was terrified of public speaking, I did it. And when I did it, I won the president of my fifth grade class.
Yes.
I can't tell you the joy, the exhilaration that was all over me when I was on the bus waiting to get home.
You're
It
so
had nothing to do with my parents. I had to tell my brothers, man, guess what? Your brother is the fifth grade class president. And again, they couldn't believe it. They're like, man, you actually ran? Toney, you're the only black boy in the class. What made you think you could win? I said, man, I can't tell you what it was, but I had an instinct to move into that vein. I had an opportunity to prepare myself and I was ready to seize the moment. And,
yes.
and that, Melissa, has been a part of why I share that in this book, because opportunities will present themselves. But if we pass those opportunities by to become great, we will miss out on a lot of good
Yes.
things in life. And so after that, my family, we had to move away in the middle of my fifth grade year because my dad was in the military.
Mm, mm.
And so the school gave me this great uh bon voyage party
Oh,
and made a
nice.
poster of me saying, we're going to miss you, Mr. President. It was just a phenomenal opportunity, but that's where that was birthed, to understand that opportunities in life are going to come. How are you going to capture that? When I got my scholarship to go to Utah State, my dad said to me, Toney, this is a decision you're going to make on your own.
Mm.
Well, the day that I was on my way to the airport, I got a call from Madonna. I was a dancer,
Mm.
and some way, somehow, she heard about my dancing and wanted me potentially to audition for a tour of
Oh,
hers.
wow.
Now, it was the Truth or Dare tour,
Oh, my
Melissa.
goodness. Oh, my goodness.
But let me share with you how God protected me. Now, as much as I love to dance, I didn't know all of the ins and outs of how Madonna lived her life or
Yes.
anything, but she was a dancer. I was a dancer. So here's an opportunity. Long story short, I told my dad, I said, my future in dancing is going to be limited. I want to go play football. And he said, well, son, we'll head to the airport and we will get you to Utah State. Melissa, I've never regretted that decision. Now let's go back and take a look at Madonna's Truth or Dare tour.
Okay.
Many of the dancers, in fact, some of them I know personally,
Okay.
there was a lot of promiscuous and a lot of whatever you call it, just um, it didn't fit my spirit
Yeah.
to be a part of something like that. But as a dancer, that was a dream opportunity come true. But again, it's
Yes.
because I was dancing since I was 2 or 3 years old, preparing for opportunities. that eventually patience, perseverance, eventually gets you there. And now you have to know when to say yes and when to say no, and having the instincts to be ready.
Two fabulously large, life-changing choices.
Yes.
Wow, what a place to be right there. And
Yeah,
obviously, you know, you look happy and you feel happy, you know you made the right choice.
absolutely.
Although we learn lessons no matter what choices we take, of course.
That you're right. You're right,
But
Melissa. One of the great lessons I teach my kids is for every decision we make, there's a reward or consequences. We want you to start making decisions that are going to bring you rewards in life versus consequences.
mhm,
So think about those decisions before you actually take action.
well put.
Yeah.
You know, I heard a description of luck or good luck along the way that really hits home. And the person said, preparedness meets opportunity. And that's what good luck is. You
Yeah.
know, it's not like you're
Yeah.
just walking by, you know, and whatever, and something just falls on you. Just
Yeah.
what you were saying, you prepare, you prepare, you prepare.
Yeah.
And when opportunity comes flying at you, wow, you go, look, I'm ready.
Yeah.
You know,
The
I can.
yeah. Having that instinct, the preparation, and staying ready gives you what people call luck. Man, you're lucky. No, you didn't see what I was doing
Correct.
before you see this.
Correct.
You don't know what I was doing. I have an associate and we're not friends, and he may not even know me, but I'm very attached to his story. The gentleman by the name of Dwayne Martin, he's an actor, an entertainer. He took his friend to an audition for a TV show. And his friend didn't read the script well.
Oh,
Dwayne says, man, here, let me show you how to do it. And the director heard Dwayne read the script, and Dwayne got the part. Now, he was not there to do the part. He was just helping his friend, but in his effort and the instinct to say, let me help you, he ended up getting the part, and he became a well-known actor in our culture and in our community, and his life was forever changed. Having that instinct to be able to do something that potentially you've never done can propel you to the next level of success.
beautiful.
Yes.
Right there. God, I know. Carry, and we carry that with us. That's something we carry inside of us that cannot be changed or moved or removed.
No.
Gosh, that's a
So
beautiful,
Melissa,
powerful.
going back to that first key, we have to operate out of faith. We cannot be who God calls us to be out of fear, because there are going to be opportunities where your instincts are going to help you get to the next level. And it can't be something that you've planned. It can't be something that is just going to haphazardly fall into place. It's going to be a moment in time where you make a decision,
Yes.
and that decision will propel you forward. Why? Because you've been prepared. You've been patient. You've believed that your shot was coming. And just like you said, preparation, that
Yes.
opportunity, and there was your good luck.
Ah, the key. The
That's it.
key. Let's go to key
Yes,
number 4. That's so perfect. It takes a good reputation to overpower the obstacles of negative accusations, discriminations, and bigotry. That is a
yes.
big sentence. It takes a good reputation. Let's start with that.
In business is built on your reputation of timeliness, execution, and as an entrepreneur, you make mistakes, you learn
Mm,
from those mistakes. And so people have to understand your heart, just not your delivery. And
yes.
so early on in business, there were some hard lessons I had to learn, which is why later on, a part of key number 6 is having a guide and a mentor for someone to
Ah,
help guide you through these places of the unknown. And so people understood my heart. My heart was to deliver on time, but I was relying on manufacturers and I was relying on suppliers to be able to help me meet deadlines that they agreed that they could make, but when they couldn't make them,
Okay.
it left me having to sit with a client to say, well, I don't have what you ordered and we're past the deadline. But because they knew my reputation of being diligent, of being effective, and being there to really want to help their business grow, they gave me grace. They knew my reputation was one that was a hardworking young man who was going to help them achieve their goals. And so having that early experience, but also being diligent, also
Yes.
applying patience, I began to learn, okay, well, this particular supplier, even if I gave them 8 weeks, they still take 10 weeks to be able to get the product to me. So I'm going to tell my clients now I can have it back to you in 12 weeks. Give them
Mm,
every opportunity to meet their goals. So now the way that we say that in business is undersell, over deliver.
yes.
In building that as a reputation, now in business, if there was someone that I did business with early on in making those mistakes, Melissa, and having now a conversation with a new client, well, Toney didn't deliver on time. But yes, he was a hard worker and he tried his very best to get things done, but the suppliers didn't get him the supplies on time. Because of that, there was someone out there that I apologize for the noise in the background if you can hear that. Um, but there was someone who was able to say this young man and his reputation allows him to continue to keep growing, to continue to keep moving forward, and getting me in rooms that were going to help build my business with a potential new client based on my reputation.
Yes.
Those were the types of things that I wanted to teach my sons and my daughter that yes, social media is a way to get your voice and to get your brand out there. But what are you saying to the people and what reputation are you delivering? If
Yeah.
all I see on your social media page is you at the bar and you got another drink in your hand, you and your crew, what message are you sending to people? What reputation are you building? Now, you may do a lot of positive things. What message, what reputation are you building in your social media brand? Today, Melissa, your employer will go to your social media and see what kind of image and reputation you have before
Yes.
they offer you a job. This is how having a good reputation can get you into rooms that only God can open up a door for.
Yeah.
I
That makes
remember
sense.
being a young entrepreneur there in Nashville, Tennessee, in the staffing industry. Well, I was just willing to be able to go where others would not go, even though I was a Black entrepreneur. There were white business owners, Caucasian business owners that may never do business with a guy because of my culture. But someone has to be a pioneer to break down those walls, to give them an
Man.
understanding that, hey, we work hard, we are diligent, we do pay our bills on time. All of us don't have bad credit. Let me be that for them. And because of my reputation, it allowed me to open up doors to begin to work with companies like Coca-Cola,
Goodness.
Thomas Nelson Publishing. It gave me an opportunity to partner with Procter and Gamble. It gave me an opportunity to begin to now work with companies like Pringles potato chips, Bounty paper towel. All of these opportunities came because someone made a call and said, hey, this Toney Jenkins guy, what do you think? And you're not going to find someone that's more dedicated. He's going to help you reach your goals, even if he's got to work split shifts, 3 shifts in a day. He's going to be there. And because of that reputation, another opportunity was given. But Melissa, that's where having the instinct, the preparation, and being ready comes in. That's where having the faith, the belief, and the positive self talk,
Yes.
even when the opportunity came, I may not have had all of the credentials,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but I'm a strong advocate in reading. I'm a strong
Too.
advocate in asking 1,000 questions to get a good understanding of what my clients wanted. And because of that, I built a reputation of someone who cares about their client. That goes a long way in business, especially as an entrepreneur. When
Yes, it
you
does.
when your clients know that you care, now they may give you an opportunity to share with them what you know. And that's how I've been able to apply these 7 keys to FiT success, overpowering challenging times because we all have them. But Melissa, the way I tell people is this: I never want you to quit, give up, cave in, or sink on your dreams.
Hmm.
And that last one came as I call it a revelation from God as I was reading about the encounter of Peter walking on water.
Okay.
As
Yes.
long as he kept his eyes on Jesus, he didn't sink. But when he began to let the waves and his surroundings get him distracted, he began to sink. So I tell people, I don't want you to give up. I don't want you to cave in. And I don't want you to quit on your dreams. But the most important one, if you can see your dreams, I don't want you to start sinking because now you're distracted by the people who are naysayers. Where's your positive self talk? To stay above water.
Yes.
Where is that reputation that when others talk about you, somebody's going to say, oh, no, 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 wait a minute. I worked with Toney. I knew him.
Mhm.
That wasn't his character. When did you work with him? Oh, that must have been in the beginning. So those types of things
Yes.
are a part of having the 7 keys to FiT success.
Boy, and keeping your eye right there. I really like that. Of course, I know the story as well, but the way you just put it, I'm also an entrepreneur, and I find it, yeah, getting batted around a lot. So
Yeah,
my North Star, it's like I can see it sort of, but I don't think I've honed in on it all the way. But I'm feeling a lot better after we're on 4 keys and 2 to go. So I'm getting so inspired here, to see
fantastic.
things that I've maybe thought about or just barely started doing. Um, Now I go, oh, this is the right path. I wouldn't have been in this situation with you to come across this information if I wasn't ready for it. That's what I think.
Absolutely.
Again,
Absolutely.
yeah,
So even with that, Melissa, that's where your instinct, preparation, and being ready comes in. How else would this have happened today had you not had that belief and that faith, that preparation, all of these things that we're talking about, you're living them. And this is why I wrote that book, because every day entrepreneurs are putting these keys into practice. They just don't realize how they're reaching their success. The way
yeah,
that when I was working with Amazon, if you don't understand the whys behind something, you're never going to achieve the whats.
oh, that's
But when
very
you
good.
understand the why, and now you have a formula to help you get to where you're going, you can apply that formula, these 7 keys, to any area of your life.
Yes,
You're going to get results. That's why I wanted to be able to share this book with my children first of all,
yeah.
and then because of the influence, then I made it public. And thank God for David, who helped me bring this book out.
I thank God for David a lot too.
All righty.
He's an
Yeah.
amazing human being.
All
Thank
righty.
you,
Yes,
David.
he is.
Well, and each one is this is so beautiful because each one leads into the next one. Now in key 5, it talks about self-confidence. So I can see, I mean, to gain that, you would have had to come through these other keys. So I'll read
Absolutely.
the way that you wrote it. It takes self-confidence to overpower the negative effects of fear and doubt.